thank you guys for joining us on Real Talk with Pastor Troy. And today we're doing a little different style today because I've got a great friend, Dr. Ken Ingle from Southeastern University has joined me live from the university. And I know a lot of parents out there, a lot of people who want to continue their education. I know a lot of people who are trying to figure out what's going to happen with education. And I thought, what a great time to talk about this after this crisis we're going through, is to get Dr. Ingle on and just ask him some questions about the future. So Dr. Ingle, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know you guys got a lot going on over there at Southeastern. Can you tell us a little bit about the college, a little bit about yourself, and then I have some questions I want to ask you.
Yeah, well, I've had the privilege to serve at Southeastern as president for right at 10 years now.
Wow.
Came from Northwest University in Seattle, Washington, where I served as the dean of their College of Ministry and Theology. But it's been a great privilege to lead this university. And one of the major tenets of our visionary strategy was to really focus on how do we deliver education in a way that's absolutely accessible at all different levels, how to create experiential education that allows students not only to learn in the classroom, but that kind of knowledge and do it in real world experience, so that when they are ready to hit the job market, they not just have their educational degree, but they're going to have a lot of solid experience in that particular field, which is extremely helpful. And then, of course, the most important question that a lot of universities have had to tackle, at least in the last 5 years, is how do we make education much more affordable for students? And so we've worked hard at that, not only building our traditional campus here in Lakeland, but really taking the opportunity to take education to the streets. That's our phrase that we use, where we expect, maybe students can't come to us, but we want to take education to where they are so they can be a good steward of their life. And so that's why we started a massive network of extension campuses, regional campuses, and I think Freedom House is part of that, and we're excited about that. But that has allowed us to really provide education that's more accessible, but also extremely affordable. So that's what's been happening as a result. The university has grown significantly. When I came, we were around 2,400 students. This past year, we were right at 10,000 students. So it's been a great journey, and just love the fact that we have the chance to come alongside students that God's raising up to do amazing things in this world. And that's what
I tell you what, you guys do an amazing job. I was introduced to you by the college and to you by Luke and Tommy Barnett, and you guys invited us to be a part of the board. Willie George actually is one of the people that invited us to be a part of it, and you invited our team to be a part of the leadership board there, and we decided right away that if we're going to extend education, we're going to do it through Southeastern University. And I've been to your campus many times, and you even let me talk to your chapel folks, which is dangerous.
Oh yeah. And so, and you and your wife both shared, which was great to have you both.
It was a lot of fun. And you've got, the way that you guys are doing education, the way the people, the kids, the students, the interaction, all your professors, just amazing. My son graduated from Southeastern University. And so my middle daughter, I'm trying to get her educated. She doesn't do education. And so, but he really enjoyed his experience. And so, so I really want to thank you so much because I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on, because man, the world has completely changed. Absolutely. And I know with regards to education has dramatically changed. Tell me about the decisions when this thing hit, when you started to see this in the news and then it started to affect you as the president. What were some of the decisions that you had to make right away?
Well, I think three things that were extremely important to us. First of all, safety. So we have a rapid, what I call a rapid response team, a crisis response team that is constantly ready to take decisive action. So having something like that, a system already in place to tackle whatever may come, was extremely helpful to us. So we began the process immediately to make sure that we are being well informed, working with, not only the CDC guidelines and all the health issues, but also working with the state, the governor's office, working with the White House, all the things that would feed us the right information. Also working with local school, organizations to help us understand the dynamic of how it will affect students. So we began doing that, worked with also our CCCU organization, which is all the Christian colleges and universities, and almost we're meeting on a daily basis to really determine what will be the best practices. So
Yeah.
safety, of course, number one, making sure that our students will be safe as we approach the response to this. The next thing is health, and health is not just the physical aspect of
Right.
dealing with this, but health is holistic.
Yeah.
So it's physical, it's spiritual, it's mental. So it's all of those emotional, all those things so we immediately begin to create a response system that would touch our community, our faculty, our students, our staff in a way that will holistically, meet the needs through this process, health-wise. And then there were the practical decisions that we would have to make as things unfolded. And of course, the major thing was we would have to move to remote education. We chose to keep our campus open. There were a variety of reasons, because we had a number of international students that could not travel back where they were from. They needed a place to stay. We had a lot of students that were from hotspots in the country.
Right.
So Washington State, from New York State, and it just was not safe and feasible for them to return. So we were able to create that space and continue to provide the services with the guidelines that we would have to have, just as churches have had to change the way they do church. So we did the same thing. I think what was beneficial is because we had developed such a robust extension campus program with a lot of hybrid, remote type of education, online learning, it was very easy for us to transition. But those were the kinds of decisions that we, of course, immediately, and the bottom line, you have to stay flexible in all of it, because it changes from day to day. So, but the thing is to always, as you know, in leadership, you have to be a systems thinker, and you have to have good systems in place, because the systems help you to really build that map to places you've never been before. So that's kind of how.
You brought up something really interesting about the holistic aspect, because I don't think a lot of people think that way. They immediately think physical. That's it. I need to make sure I don't get sick. But how did you feel like your faith personally, as the director, as the leader, because everybody's looking at you, and then your college is a Christian college. Did you feel any pressure to act differently? Because for us as a church, I know one of the biggest things that we had to face is that fear, I call it the spiritual terrorists of the 21st century. And fear is such a huge thing in people's lives. How did you guys navigate that? Did that go into your thinking at all?
Well, oh, sure, absolutely. It's the natural conversation of faith versus fear, and first of all, it didn't change our approach. It only allowed us to live our approach in a much more significant way.
Gotcha.
Here's we talk about faith. We talk about, well, here's a great opportunity to demonstrate what's that like when you have to face difficult circumstances and things that are unexpected. And so we did. I mean, we put a major emphasis on making sure we shore up ways from that holistic aspect, to really strengthen, build, encourage our spirituality. I went to a passage that we all know. It's the story of when the disciples that had got in the boat with Jesus and they
Right.
were on
Right.
to the other shore. And it's a story we all know, but sometimes I think we miss. And I went back and reread that because that story actually demonstrates faith and fear all together and how our
Right.
response. And of course, they're in the boat. And I looked, the narrative I looked at was the one in the story found in Mark. But, the waves were coming up and they were, it looked like just going to overtake them. And they had tremendous fear. And of course, these are the disciples who had been with Jesus. So they've seen
Yeah.
Jesus do
Yeah.
all the miracles and they've sat under his teaching, but yet they're afraid. And of course, we would be afraid because this massive storm, it's like being in a hurricane and we experience those
Right.
all the time. And how's this
Yeah.
going to affect us? But, and Jesus was asleep. And sometimes I wonder, was he really asleep or was he getting ready to, he knew what he was going to do. And so, they were afraid. Why are you going to let us, perish in this? And of course he speaks to nature and it calms and it subsides and he kind of says, where is your faith? You've been with me. But here's the interesting thing about it. He focuses on misplaced fear. And what they were doing is their faith, so to speak, their faith was in the storm. And so their fear, and at the end of it, if you'll remember at that Mark passage, at the end, it says, after he even calmed the storm, they were more afraid. Why were they more afraid? Because if you go and look at that passage, the question is, who is this man?
Right.
When the waves obey.
Wow. Wow.
And I think the point of that was, don't put your faith in the circumstances and your fear that those circumstances are going to control your life. They don't control your life. It's Christ who does.
That's good.
Fear the Lord, not the storm.
Yeah.
And we really built a whole, spiritual kind of encouragement, curricular type of design that would help us really kind of create ways that develop. We looked at this as an opportunity for innovation, especially for our spiritual, formation processes. We use this as an opportunity to try to develop new ways of student spirituality through online devotions and having
That's
a
good.
variety of speakers. So it was just a great opportunity to really build that part of our holistic approach.
That's very good. So, with that in mind, what would you say to parents right now? Let's say they got a student that's getting ready to, or has graduated and they're going into college now. What would you say to them? Because you just talked about, because I know as a parent, I would be wondering, all right, how do I do this? Do I send my student to college? Do I just have them do online? What would you say to that parent to help them navigate this decision?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's going to have to focus on looking at, first of all, having a good conversation with your son or daughter about the stewardship of life, and looking at the ability to have a mindset of what it means to get education, what it means to learn, to fuel kind of what you sense is going on in your life, your passions, your abilities, your interests, your gifts, and then following that first and foremost, having a good understanding. I go back to my own experience in life. When I graduated from high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Didn't even know where I wanted to go. But I had great mentors in my life who taught me what you do need to do is follow your passion, follow what you sense is going on in your life. What are those experiences that you've had great joy that have come out of those, things like that, and then begin to follow that. So I made a decision, and I think this works no matter what's going on, whether it's facing a pandemic or you approach education as a continuation of stewarding your life. And so I chose, I'm going to just go to a community college, my local community college. It'll allow me to get access to education that I'm going to need anyway. It would also allow me to get it more affordable. But what I did, I started taking classes that I enjoyed, that I wanted to learn about. I'm
Right.
like a big communications guy. I love
Yeah.
communication. I love sports and broadcasting. So I just, because it's something I enjoy, I just took a communications class. It was broadcast writing, actually. And the professor was the news director at the local NBC station in
Oh,
Bakersfield.
that's cool.
So he said, I'm going to get you on as an intern at our station. I thought, wow, that's great. He said, where would you like to be fit, placed? I said, I love sports. So he assigned me to the sports anchor. In about 3 months' time, I learned how to write. I learned how to produce. I learned how to shoot interviews. I learned how to write the
Oh,
script.
very
I did
cool.
all of that. The sports guy got a new job. I'm 18. I go to the news director, who's my professor. I said, hey, give me a shot at this. And he kind of laughed. You know what? I've watched you. I'm going to give you a shot. You can produce a whole show right here on our set in the studios. I did. And he hired me on the spot. At 18,
Come on.
I started anchoring sports at NBC
Wow.
in Bakersfield, doing the 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock. And for the next 10 years of my life, I was in television sports, finishing my
Wow.
career in Los Angeles. Now, when I was 18, did I set out and say, oh, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to this school, get my communication.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I followed my passion. So parents, I think first and foremost, need to have a conversation to help students to understand that. Then I think you need to look at how to go about stewarding that. So I think right now, especially in this pandemic, I think many students are going to have to start looking at degrees, looking at programs that a lot of times they go after things that they don't even use when they graduate.
Right.
They just kind of pick a major,
Right.
and they don't really take the time to look at their life. And you
Yeah.
see, that's one thing about our university. We're in fact, our mission to come alongside students, helping them to discover their divine design, the way they're uniquely made, that they can serve in this world. They can serve Christ, they can serve the church, they can serve in whatever God's call. So you have to really tailor your education. And so look at that, and then look at the ROI of that education.
Right.
Oh my goodness, so many students in the past have taken out massive loans and have massive debt. They go to a university, and a lot of times they want to try to go to a big name university, so it's going to cost a lot more to get a degree that, you could have got it at a university that had just the same quality, but it's a lot less.
Yeah.
But you can take the time to look at the ROI of that. So look at where you want to go. Look at what the cost of that degree will be, the cost of that institution. Look at what will you make in that particular job, and calculate it. So, those kinds of things. But now with this pandemic,
do you think the cost of education is going to go up or go down as a result of this?
It's going to go down. Universities are going to have to push that down. That's why I've been so thankful that we were ahead of the curve and started our extension campuses. And one of the major priorities, as you know, is at an extension campus, the cost of degrees are 2/3 less of what it would be on the traditional campus. Same degree, but 2/3 less. Then you say, well, why do you charge that on a traditional campus? Because it's a different environment. I would call it's our premier environment. And there are students that want that experience. They want the sports experience, they want the clubs experience, they want dorm life experience, all of those things. So that is going to cost more. But when you think about having a local faith-based organization like yours, being able to provide a quality, regionally accredited education and do it in an affordable way, they can still get the education they need and get right into the job market. So that's what universities are going to do. And you're going to see a lot of universities starting to be very innovative and working on how they approach education.
Yeah. So talk about that for a second, because I've had a few conversations with some of my golfing buddies about the idea of, they said, man, I would hate to be graduating right now from college, because it's very difficult to get a job. And so, the whole economy, I think I read yesterday, 12 million people applied for unemployment yesterday or day before yesterday. How would you help the student? What would you tell the student?
I can tell you, the demands in the workplace are significantly going to change. And people who as the number of jobs available contracts, employers are going to start looking for talent who can do more than one thing. So I think students, they're going to have to tailor their resumes, those that are graduating, those that are preparing, they're going to have to tailor their resumes to include all the different types of abilities and gifts, not just focus on their particular degree, but things they've been involved in, things they're passionate about, because that's what employers are going to look. Can you do more than just one single thing? So this is a huge opportunity for students actually to invest in things like micro certifications in addition to their full degree programs. Programs like coding, data analysis. In fact, I think we're about ready to make an announcement here at Southeastern that we're going to be creating a brand new coding school for students that, and right now that's one of the most in-demand jobs across the nation.
Wow.
And I think the starting salary for a coding job right now is about $75,000 a year. And they are in demand. And actually, you're going to be able to do this even at your church educational opportunity, this type of coding school. But look at things like data analysis, design. There's so many things that you can look at. It wasn't, I think it was about 9-10 months ago, the president of Apple was at an educational conference where the president, they were sitting down together, and it made the news, of course, that they were sitting down together. But Cook said this. He said, the most successful people in my organization didn't have a college degree, but they needed education. So his whole point is we have to create a menu of educational access. And students need to decide and look at, especially right now, what are some of the soft skill development, hard technical skill development that maybe I need along with, earning a degree, but these other, and that'll make, make more job opportunities available to you.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that it's almost like a whole shift has happened because of a crisis? It's because I remember when people say, no, you need to focus on that one thing. Think about it 5, 6, 7 years ago. Focus on that one thing that you're good at, because companies are kind of, narrowing the lane. They're going from, hey, we want people that have that 5, 6, 7 lane idea down to that one lane, one shift. And now it's completely shifted back over to this. You better be able to do 5, 6. I know when I'm thinking about hiring somebody on my staff, I'm thinking, sure, maybe you can lead worship, but I also need you to be able to do a video, produce this, edit, all of those different, bring some creativity to the team. And you better have some administrative skills as well, because I can't afford to hire 3 people for a job really that I can only really need one person for.
Right.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. And that's what the marketplace is looking for now. And that will be the demand. So that's why I say that's why experiential education is so important.
Yeah.
Internships and just opportunities to learn in a non-formal way is very
right. Very good. Let me ask you this. So, I mean, I've read your book that you wrote. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but you gave me a copy of it on one of my first visits. What's the name of your book?
Well, my latest,
the one on leadership is the one on leadership. It's
framework leadership.
Framework leadership.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't really tell anybody that I read the book because I stole most of your stuff out of it and preached it myself. So I just want you to know, that's why we send money to you guys, is because I stole all your leadership stuff. And I figure that's a good trade for you.
Use it all. That's great.
So you're a phenomenal leader, and I've watched how you've made decisions even during this situation. How has it affected your personal leadership? How has this whole pandemic thing affected your personal leadership in navigating your staff, your team, keeping the cohesion of your team during the kind of, because people have been pushed away from each other? How are you keeping things together?
Well, I think first and foremost for me, it's all about relationship and relational connection, and making, not only in the midst of having to make decisions, but making sure that I'm spending time with my team in a way that provides encouragement, support. Let's just go out, hang out. Let's,
Hmm.
what are you feeling? Those kinds of things. So relational, um, currency is always been important to me as a leader, and doing everything I can. I mean, my personal mission statement has always is two words: others oriented. So for me, I've used this opportunity as a way to press in and really learn more of how I can come alongside my team to support them, to strengthen them. So that's been a great challenge for me. It's also been for me to lean into those that I look to for encouragement and strength. So immediately I got a hold of some of my mentors and said, during this crisis, can we have a lot of conversation
Yeah. Yeah.
and supports and pray together and those kinds of things. So that's been, first and foremost. And then just together, making sure that we more follow that framing process. And as you know, in the book, it's just a simple 4-step process that we've approached during this pandemic. And that is, are we listening and really getting a good grasp of what are the challenges, what are the issues, what are people feeling, saying, then auditing the context, what are the best practices out there to help us really make this place a safe, healthy, quality learning environment. So always auditing that, and then clarifying, just doing everything we can to communicate. And we try to think of ways, what do people want to know? What do they want to hear? And we've tried to do our very best at communicating at our best. And then just aligning those, then just putting them into practice, from aligning resources, people, all of that in a way that just helps us to, try not to miss a beat during this process. And so that's kind of the approach that we've had. And I feel like we've seen great growth and fruit as a result.
That's good.
I always approach a crisis as a great opportunity to really break through and go to another level.
That's good. What do you think is I got 2 more questions and I'm done. What do you think is the biggest takeaway for you as a president and as a person?
Yeah, I think as a president, the biggest takeaway for me is, how do we learn to create an environment that will always be flexible to the context, but will always be firm in our spiritual conviction.
That's good.
And that is what has driven me more than anything in the midst of this, because you know what, this won't be the only significant challenge we have to face.
That's right.
There's going to be much more, but if we have learned how to be flexible in understanding what we're walking through, but yet in our response being firm to our conviction, wow, it's going to be a great way to navigate that breakthrough, if you will, to a whole new level. I think for me personally, it's built in the 2 most important components in my life. It is self-awareness and self-management. Self-awareness, making sure that I am in tune with what God's doing in my life in the midst of this. Who am I talking to? What are people saying to me? Is my gift mix changing as a result of this? Because I believe God can change your gifts based on how he wants to use you in a moment, in a crisis, in a context. Have I built in that reflection? Am I reflecting on my experiences, good, bad, difficult, spiritual? Am I monitoring that? And then I think the second most important thing to me is that self-discipline. Am I disciplining myself physically? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not staying in shape, you're going to hurt, you're going to suffer. And it's so easy. Of course, I'm the guy that gets to the gym at 5 o'clock every morning, and I haven't been able to go to the gym. So I had to create a whole new system on how am I going to do that? From a lot of outdoor stuff to,
Yeah.
building a little makeshift thing in my house. But so, and then mentally and spiritually and all of the elements emotionally that are important. Those two things, I think, will help you to be grounded and will help you get to where you need to go. And so those are the things that really I've been able to kind of walk through in a
That's
more
good.
significant way.
What should I ask you that I'm not asking you? What question did I not ask you that I should ask you?
Oh my goodness. What we're doing here in the fall.
Yeah. What are you doing in the fall? Tell me about it.
Well, we're working right now on developing a campus that will look different. I think one of the things that I might have mentioned earlier is we're working on what we call high flex model education on our traditional campus, where actually students will come on campus and they will have face-to-face education, but they'll also have choices in that. They could actually choose to do that class face-to-face, or they can choose to do it remotely, even here on campus.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're creating those kinds of things. We're also looking at, of course, a lot of our systems that will help us with safety and health. We actually, our College of Nursing is creating a whole clinic. So this is a whole new thing that's going to be kind of exciting this fall. On our traditional campus our College of Nursing will serve as a health clinic, and they will be led by Lakeland Regional Hospital here in providing the CEO of Lakeland Regional is also helping us with this process. So we're going to have a lot of new great things that will again help our students to be safe on campus, healthy on campus, and still get an amazing education and relational experience here. So, I know a lot of parents, because that's really the number one question that people have actually been asking is how are you going to do campus in the fall? Because you say you are coming back. So that's kind of the things that we're doing to make sure that those who do want that experience will have it.
That's really good. Well, man, thank you so much for taking some time. And just, I think you really you broadened my thought process on how education can happen. I'm glad the prices are going to go down. When I started college, I graduated from Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia, a long time ago, 1990. And so when I started college, it was $600 a semester. When I finished college, it was $1,400 a semester. Just so in 5 years, because I was on the 5-year plan, it went up, more than doubled. And I know people are considering that, and they're thinking, and you know what, there's also a lot of people that didn't finish their education.
Right.
And because of the change, the flexibility, the online capabilities, and just the way in which education has changed, they said, well, maybe I can get my degree that I didn't finish and get that accomplishment and help them get a little bump in their salary or whatever that may be. So I'm really glad you guys have taken this head on. You're making the right changes. I'm honored to be associated with you guys. I talk about Southeastern University all the time because I think it's great what you guys do. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, man. A privilege to be in great relationship and friendship with you.
That's right. That's right. Well, hey guys, real quick, and then we'll dismiss, is if you have a question, just put it in the comment. And if it's something for Dr. Ingle, I'll send it to him, and then he can respond back to me, and then we'll make sure that we communicate with you. And so during this Instagram television program that we have, so I'd love to hear your comments, love to hear your questions, and thank you for joining Real Talk with Pastor Troy. Dr. Ingle, thank you so much for being on today, and great, rich, full of great information and inspiration, bro. So thank you so much.
Privilege.
All right, God bless, man.